Stocks slipped today's low as investors fret over the inflation and interest rate trajectory. IT, autos and capital goods gain, while energy and healthcare sulk. Banks too underperformed today.
Samvardhana Motherson strikes a deal to buy SAS Auto System Technic, a global cockpit module and EV solutions vendor, for 540 million euros in enterprise value. Analysts give the EPS accretive move a thumbs up.
The Cipla stock slips after the US FDA issues a Form 483 with 8 observations for its Pitambur unit, also which contributes over a sixth of its sales, and the street worries over the nature of undisclosed observations.
The government asked Hindustan Zinc not to proceed with its proposed acquisition of Vedanta's arm THL Zinc. The company tells CNBC-TV18 it will engage with all minority shareholders and it is looking to grow globally via acquisitions.
Hello and welcome to Business Lunch. I'm Nisha Podar, and with me as always is my co-anchor Pavitra Parekh. So Pavitra, we've started on a weak note today, and Nifty 50, take a look at that, over 100 points below the high point of the trading session today. So at the moment, definitely the inflation, macroeconomic worries, the interest rate trajectory across the world is something which is weighing on the sentiment of the market. At the low point of the trading day, Nifty 50 at 17,891 odd levels, which is more than 100 points below the high point of the trading session for Nifty 50. When it comes to sensex, it's a loss of around 140 points at the moment. And what's really leading the weakness for the market today are some of the blue chip banks, the financials. So Bank Nifty is the one over 0.5% down in trade and a strong underperformance to the key indices. But mid cap showing a lot of resilience in the green, comfortably 0.3% up. An advanced decline ratio still in favor of the declines, but with mid-cap participation, a strong participation, well, it is better than what could have been. Now, Divi's Labs, Tech Mahindra are some of the counters which are in terms of percentage highest in terms of the green tech, but what's really aiding the market are stocks like Infosys, Bharti Airtel, Ultratech Cement, while other big ones like HDFC Twins as well as Reliance Industries are on the lower trajectory today, Pavitra.
Oh, absolutely. So a lot of the names you mentioned are from the IT pack, right, which once again continues to help the market. In fact, it's not just the large cap IT names. A lot of the smaller ones are doing very well today. So take a look at Sonata Software, which is up almost 10%. You have Zen Technologies, Nucleus Software. All of these are doing very well. They're up on your screen to see. A lot happening in the auto space as well. You do have some of, the larger names which are doing well, but some of the mid caps also. Of course, Samvardhana, there's news. We'll talk about that. JBM Auto is up around 4.5%. So all of those holding up well. You have, and on the downside, it's pretty much all from the pharma space. You have something like a Cipla, Glenmark, Biocon. Of course, Divi's is doing well, but a lot of the pharma names under pressure. That whole index, the Nifty Pharma Index, is down around 4.5% for this year. So do watch out for that. And then the Adani group of stocks once again seeing cuts on the news of the FTSE rebalancing. So we'll talk more about all of this. But first up, let's kickstart the show by talking about pharma company Cipla, which is actually the top loser on the Nifty. The stock is slipping after the US FDA issued 8 observations to its Pithampur manufacturing unit. Ekta is here with all of the details. Ekta, we don't know, what these observations are, but the fact that there are 8 really has the street worried.
Well, yes, first the news is that the US drug regulator, which is basically the US FDA, has issued 8 observations in a Form 483 to Cipla's Pithampur or Indore facility. So basically, this particular inspection took place from the 6th of Feb to the 17th of Feb. This plant is quite important. It manufactures respiratory products as well as oral products. Now, why exactly is this considered to be negative? Because the street currently does not know the nature of the observations which are not disclosed. The Form 483 comes with a lag. What the street is worried about is the number of observations, 8 in number. The street is currently assuming that maybe these observations would be adverse enough or large enough in terms of number for them to solve it in a in a shorter amount of timeline successfully. Now, why is that negative for Cipla? Is because one of their key drugs, which is the Advair generic inhaler, could be delayed in case of an adverse reaction from the US drug regulator or in case it takes a longer time to solve these observations. Remember that their Goa facility had received a warning letter in 2019. Brixon generic, which is a cancer drug, did see some amount of delays, and hence the street is assuming that maybe this could be the case for the Indore facility, which as a whole is also very important because it's around 15% of the FY23 estimated EBITDA. Brokerages are worried because now there could be a possibility that Advair generic, which was expected to be launched in Q1 of FY24, could probably now become an FY25 product. Incred says that both the products, which is a Brixon as well as Advair, could see more competition in FY25. They've reduced the target price. The likes of Macquarie and JP Morgan have retained their stance, which is outperform and overweight respectively on the stock. JP Morgan says that currently Advair generic is estimated in Q1 FY24. 5 to 6% is the estimated contribution to EPS in FY24-25.
All right, Ekta, thanks so much for all those important details. Cipla stock under pressure. Another stock that we are focusing on is Hindustan Zinc, and that is also seeing a slight amount of pressure today. And the government has, remember, asked Hindustan Zinc not to proceed with its proposed acquisition of Vedanta's international zinc assets, which, remember, is a related party transaction. Now, earlier today, we spoke with Arun Mishra, the management CEO and whole-time director of Hindustan Zinc, and he says that they will engage with all the minority shareholders before any transaction is undertaken by the management, and also says that the company is looking to grow globally via acquisitions. Listen.
We have a 3 months time period after the board meeting to conduct a convene shareholders meeting, and we also need to have approval from majority of the minority shareholders for the deal to go through. So those are the rest is all process. So we are going through the process right now. Government and Ministry of Mines is the important stakeholder in our business. They have 29.5% of shares. So I'm always in touch with them for all matters of strategic importance to the company. It will be an OFS. It cannot be anything other than OFS. And I'm very, very hopeful that before March, we should have this in the best interest of everyone.
All right, that is the word from the Hindustan Zinc management. But some more stock-specific news that we're tracking today. Samvardhana Motherson has made a big acquisition. They've picked up 100% stake in Germany's SAS Auto System Technik. This is for an enterprise value of 4,800 crore rupees. In fact, we spoke to the management also earlier to understand what they have to say about this acquisition, the potential as well as the rationale. So let's listen in to what Chairman Vivek Chand Sehgal as well as CFO Kunal Malani had to tell us.
Net debt to EBITDA ratio is what we follow, which is 1.8x basis December results that we announced. Even if we consider the whole 540 million as debt, just theoretically, we would be slightly above 2x. And considering an improving trajectory going forward, at the point of closing, I still expect that the whole thing will still mean a debt EBITDA of less than 2x. When this asset comes in on a blended basis, the margin profile should look better than what the SAMIL one is right now. This asset carries 50% of its revenues being EVs. So in effect, we would be looking at closer to 8-9% at an aggregate level now. Having said so, our own portfolio, if you look at, from an order book perspective, nearly 37% of our order book is also EVs. So going forward, the share of EVs seems to be increasing quite substantially at an aggregate level for us as well.
Now, the FTSE semi-annual index review will come into effect from 17th of March, that is next month, and NSE's index review too will come into effect from the 31st of March. Now, this could have a significant impact on some of the counters, some of the stocks in terms of rebalancing of the indices. And Vivek Iyer, our colleague, is here with all the details. Vivek, which are the stocks said to be impacted with this, and what about Adani group of stocks?
Well, absolutely right. Comprehensive update coming in as far as FTSE is concerned. So the semi-annual index review came in just post market hours closed on Friday. And, one of the key stocks to watch out for was Kotak Mahindra Bank. We were anticipating and we were expecting some clarity in terms of whether it's going to be a one-time impact inclusion or whether the inclusion is going to be spread over multiple quarters. Analysts were anticipating that this particular inclusion would be spread over multiple quarters, and in line with the estimates, it does appear as though Kotak Mahindra Bank this time around will see the first tranche of the inflow in this particular adjustment that the FTSE has announced. So some of the stocks to keep on your radar: Kotak Mahindra Bank, Supreme Industries, APL Apollo Tubes, Patanjali Foods, Solar Industries and Vedant Fashions. These are some of the high impact names that will get the inflows and that have been added to various indices as far as FTSE is concerned. On the other hand, Gillette India as well as Eris Life Sciences will see exclusion from the FTSE indices. Now, coming to the Adani Group, what FTSE has said is that there will be no special treatment as far as the Adani Group stocks is concerned. So any weight changes that occur in this particular review will be in line with the overall weight changes that the Indian basket will see in this particular index adjustment. And lastly, coming to the NSE semi-annual, index review, no major changes have been made in the Nifty 50, Nifty Bank and Nifty IT indices. Some important changes in the Nifty Next 50 and ABB India, Adani Wilmar, Canara Bank, Page Industries and Varun Beverages, come into this particular index, and this is at the expense of Emphasis, Bandhan Bank, Biocon, Gland as well as Paytm. So these stocks to keep on your radar, some inflows and outflows on the back of passive funds that track these indices.
All right, Vivek, thanks a lot for bringing us all of the details there. We have to get into a short break now. But on the other side, fossil fuel subsidies have hit record highs of $1.1 trillion. This is in 2022 due to the global energy crisis. All of the details on this interesting piece of news when we come back. Hey guys, welcome back. You're still tuned into Business Lunch here on CNBC-TV18, and let's get on to our special segment, Climate Clock. Even as countries across the globe are trying to reduce their carbon footprint and cut the reliance on fossil fuels, the global subsidy bill for fossil fuels has hit a record high of $1.1 trillion in 2022. So Sonal is standing by at the big wall to tell us more about this. Sonal?
Thank you so much for that. Well, we've been talking about record high profits for oil majors in 2022, but that is not the only record when it comes to the energy space. Fossil fuel subsidies hit $1.1 trillion in 2022 due to the global energy crisis. That's an all-time high, and it combines subsidy for oil, natural gas, electricity and coal as well. This is as per the International Energy Agency. Now, if we chart the numbers over years, this is a substantial jump. In 2010, it was around $0.6 trillion, then it moved to levels of $0.75 trillion, then it started coming off a little bit. In 2016 to levels of $0.37 trillion as well. Then it went higher to $0.58 trillion. 2020 saw a sharp downtick, understandably, due to the decline in energy prices. Now, if we move forward, it picked up in 2021, and now it has actually doubled in 2022 to $1.1 trillion. That number is an all-time high. If we split it further, subsidies for natural gas and electricity consumption more than doubled versus 2021, and for oil subsidies, it rose 85% on a YOY basis. Most of the subsidies were given in emerging markets and developing economies as well. And more than half of the subsidies were from fossil fuel exporting countries. That's not very surprising. Though Europe spent $350 billion on energy subsidies, this was coupled with issues around supply from Russia, record high gas prices, and electricity costs, which have now cooled down. Everyone wanted to focus on renewables, but energy crisis did not allow that. According to Bloomberg report, fossil fuel subsidy, it was more than double of the total investment seen in renewable energy in 2022. And important to note, this has happened right after 2021 COP, where all nations agreed to accelerate efforts to phase out fossil fuel subsidies completely. So clearly, decarbonization in a volatile energy environment will require more efforts.
All right, Sonal, thanks so much for getting us all those important details. Moving on to an important development today, Madhya Pradesh cabinet has approved a new excise policy which discourages alcohol consumption in the state. Now, no new liquor shop will be opened in the state. Also, there will be no liquor shops within the 100 meters radius of the education institutions. Now, interestingly, this comes amid senior BJP leader Uma Bharti's call for controlled liquor consumption in the state. And here's what Chief Minister of the state, Shivraj Singh Chauhan, had to say about the policy.
मध्य प्रदेश में कोई नई शराब की दुकान नहीं खोली जाएगी। इसके साथ ही साथ ये भी तय किया है कि कोई धार्मिक, शैक्षणिक ऐसे जो स्थल है, शैक्षणिक में चाहे वो पहले लिखा हुआ था आबकारी नीति में गर्ल्स स्कूल, गर्ल्स कॉलेज, लेकिन अब कोई भी स्कूल और कॉलेज हो, शराब की 100 मीटर तक आसपास कोई दुकान नहीं होगी। पहले 50 मीटर ये सीमा हुआ करती थी।
All right, that is on Madhya Pradesh's new liquor policy. We do have to get into a short break now, but you don't go anywhere. There's lots more news and updates that we have lined up for you on the other side.
Welcome back. You're watching Business Lunch, and a quick look at the market at this point. Nifty 50 has lost about 50 odd points, and a little bit of gain has come in from the mid-cap universe. Take a look at that, over 0.5% gain at the moment. So that particular space has picked up definitely. But Bank Nifty also saw some bit of buying in some of the big banks at a very low level, but not substantial enough to really give the right momentum to that particular index. Reliance Industries at the low point of the trading session could be a spot of bother, and that is the biggest dragger for Nifty 50 in the last few minutes of trade. Moving on then to some international developments of the day, and US Secretary of State Anthony Blinken met with China's top diplomat Wang Yi, and the first face-to-face meet since the US military shot down a suspected Chinese surveillance balloon earlier this month, remember, which was a big talking point in international circles when it comes to the diplomatic ties between the two powers as well. Now, the China's top diplomat also criticized the US for shooting down of the balloon and called on the country to change the course and acknowledge and repair the damage which is done.
This approach of the United States does not prove that the United States is powerful, but quite the opposite. We advise the US not to do such absurd things in foreign exchanges because of domestic political needs. We also ask the US to show sincerity to correct its mistakes, face up to and resolve the damage caused by this incident to Sino-US relations.
All right, on the same topic also, we had the US Secretary of State Anthony Blinken, who spoke about the unacceptable violation of US sovereignty and the international law in response to the Chinese spy balloon controversy. So let's hear that out as well.
I don't want to characterize what he said. I don't think that would be appropriate, although I can tell you, no, there was no apology. But what I can also tell you is this was an opportunity to speak very clearly and very directly about the fact that China sent a surveillance balloon over our territory, violating our sovereignty, violating international law. And I told him quite simply that that was unacceptable and can never happen again.
All right, let's take it straight to the business of sports then. And football club Manchester United is on the block. So one of the biggest M&A deals when it comes to business of sports there. And the Glazer family, the current owners of the club, had really given a deadline of 17th of February for interested bidders. And the club has so far received 3 bids for the same. Let's take it straight to CNBC's Will, who tells us more about this interesting transaction.
Over to the English Premier League now, where 3 bids have been submitted for Manchester United following Friday's deadline in what could be a record-setting deal, with owners the Glazers reportedly seeking as much as £7 billion for the Red Devils. Now, here's what we know about the bids. Lifelong United fan Sir Jim Ratcliffe says he will not load debt onto the club, as the Glazers did in their takeover in 2005, much maligned by the fans, and could even take the listed club private. Sheikh Jassim bin Hamad of Al Thani, the son of Qatar's former Prime Minister, says he has the best offer on the table, vowing to clear the club's total debt of £515 million. And US hedge fund Elliott Management has lodged a proposal to back the current owners, offering to either take a stake in United, providing debt financing, or both.
All right, Will, thanks a lot for getting us all of the details there. So Manchester United on the block. It'll be interesting to see which way this deal really moves. But on that note, we're going to wind down on this edition of Business Lunch. From the entire team, thank you for tuning in. And Midcap Radar is up in 2.